This is Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, with Whitney and Jenkins. Hello, and welcome to the 13th episode of Unconditioning, Discovering the Voice Within, where I bring on guests and we talk about the inner authentic voice and the rewards and the challenges that come from doing so. This week, I have with me myself. I'm doing my first solo show and it is a little intimidating, but here we are. So first, I would just like to reflect on the episodes that we've done so far and the variety of amazing guests that I've had on with different backgrounds from different countries, different perspectives, different passions. I've absolutely loved having each and every one of these guests on the podcast, these conversations. I've found great wisdom and value in them myself, and so I hope that you listening have gained something from participating in the active listening of these discussions. There's a bit of a learning curve here for me too. I'm honing my interview skills and my listening skills, and hopefully as we go along and this podcast evolves and goes where it's going to go, then I'll improve these skills as well along the way. I think also something that's come up is, even though I have interviewed a variety of different people, there's still a common thread between everyone that I've spoken to. And the common thread is that no matter how much you analyze your process as a creative person, a creative being, not necessarily, you don't have to be an artist to be creative. I believe that each and every one of us as humans are creative. And if I can draw from a quote from Bob Dylan, you don't necessarily have to write to be a poet. Some people work in gas stations and they're poets. So as we break down the process, the creative process with everyone that I talk to, there's this common theme in that there's something that's really intangible, that's really difficult to explain, but it is the source of inspiration or an idea or a decision that fundamentally changed the trajectory of their life. And it's very difficult to name. So there's this big mystery surrounding the source of the authentic voice. And everyone that I've talked to had something to say about an intuitive knowing or something that they couldn't really explain of the spiritual. And I want to make sure that this does not imply religion, even though some may be affected by that aspect. But there's this mystery, and so I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to keep digging to the inquiry of this mystery and see how far and deep we can get within that. I think we're all creative by nature. And I think that by connecting to this creative source, we can more intimately know ourselves and we become connected to our true nature. And once we are more connected with our true nature, it seems from all of these interviews that things simply kind of fall in place and they have a natural progression. And when you feel connected and aligned to that thing, then as we more intimately know ourselves, then we more intimately know our nature, and I think that has a ripple effect on everything that we do. As we become more creative in our everyday life, our day-to-day activities, so does that feed our creativity on the bigger picture and the bigger projects. As we feed our creativity in the bigger creativity kind of way, as we are artists or, even building a company or something on the large scale. When we feed that beast, then we're also feeding the everyday creativity within our own lives. And so it's a cycle and one thing feeds another. I actually have a life update. I'm going back. I'm back in school. I am now pursuing my master's degree in psychology with a focus on creativity studies. And I've done that since I began this podcast. And so I wasn't meaning to intentionally have those two things relate, but it seems that there's a lot of room for research and discovery within that. And also by having more people on the podcast and asking more questions of different kinds of people, I think that this can also qualify as a window of discovery into psychology, specifically relating to creativity in a qualitative way. And so I want to share with you my own kind of definitions of creativity, just so that we can speak the same language on this. To me, creativity is an expression of our whole multi-dimensional selves within one stroke of a paintbrush or one glance of reaction in a dialogue or one sustained note in a musical riff. Creativity is our entirety within one expression. It is the vessel of allowing our truest, most authentic nature and voice to be expressed in a tangible way. It is the outward expression of reflecting the multidimensional layers of our inner landscape. Creativity is the truest, most authentic version of ourselves, which, if you get down to it, is the expression of creation itself. The energy of creation, which at its core is the energy of the essence of love. And though it may be debated until the end of time, it is of my opinion that creativity springs from our own multidimensional selves, as we all contain the divine within us. So to ignore our creative instincts or to arrange creativity to serve a purpose that is not of intrinsic value to our souls and the whole of humanity is not serving the purpose of our creativity, nor ourselves, nor society. It's stifling and hiding our authenticity and our authentic creative voice. Creativity is the expression of love of ourselves and for ourselves and for all of these things. As we grow to know ourselves more intimately, so do we develop our access to the creative source, whether it be inside of us or a connection to the divine. Our creations are the acknowledgement of that connection and the acknowledgement of the divine in everything. And I really just love being able to do this podcast, even though it's a passion project at the moment and there's not really much return monetarily at all, but that's okay because I'm not doing it for that. That is not my intention for this podcast at the moment. Right now, it's just to have the opportunity to have these conversations and give artists and creatives and people who are connected with their true selves a platform so that they can perhaps share their wisdom to share with others who are maybe seeking ways in which they can find that themselves, or just to know that there are other people out there who are like-minded and that they have gone through similar experiences themselves. Another reason that I'm looking to go back to school is I have this idea for a nonprofit that I'm developing, and it's all about empowering creatives to be creative on their own terms and not in the way of trying to create something for a specific purpose, but for creating for creation's sake. Because when we create simply because of our true nature and we're not trying to fulfill something to fit within a specific brand or the vision of some kind of company who's trying to mold and shape us into something, but if we can create because creating is our true nature, then I really believe that the potential within that to have a positive impact on humanity is really, really quite great. And so I'm really excited to delve further into this development of this nonprofit and combine it with the knowledge that I'm learning from going to school and researching and being surrounded by like-minded people. I am just so excited to learn more and commit to allowing this platform and this podcast and I want to hold this container with the intention of connecting and having this reach people who would love to hear it. And with that, if you are listening and you feel that you have a story that could bring value and wisdom by the experiences that you've gone through or things that you've discovered along your life journey, then please reach out and let me know. Send me an email at unconditioningpodcast@gmail.com or send me a DM at unconditioningpodcast on Instagram. If you feel that you would like to share, please reach out and we'll make sure that we can find a way for you to do that. So I'm going to leave with this question. What did you believe when you first came into this world before you were ever told no, that you couldn't do something? Thank you so much. And until next time, stay tuned in to you.